Hello, welcome to Planting of the Geeks. This is a Let's Paint video for IG-88 from Imperial Assault. This is one of the expansion packs, not from the main box. You just get a little counter in the main box to represent him, but I bought the expansion pack, if you've seen the unboxing video. This is IG-88. I think he's going to be pretty straightforward, this guy actually, but here he is. He really doesn't need any cleaning up. I had a good look at him. He's quite fine as he is, which is great. So we're going to go straight to the undercoating stage, and we're going to start with black. If you've got lead belcher, I would suggest you probably use that, because that will give a pretty good finish on him. But I'm going to start with black and then work up with lead belcher from the paint and so on. So let's get started with the undercoat. Okay, so IG-88 has been sprayed. He's been sprayed in black. Now we're going to cover him in lead belcher. So if you've sprayed him in lead belcher or a silver spray paint, you won't be needing to do this stage. There we go. So we're going to give him a good covering, very good covering of lead belcher. I don't want much of the black showing through. And he's quite a tall, skinny type model, so he's quite easy to paint really. You can get this brush in there, and it should be pretty straightforward Model 2 paint overall, as most of him is actually metal. At this stage I'm going to do the gun as well. Probably darken that down near the end, but there he is, that simple. See, good covering of lead belcher. Now that needs to dry before we move on to the next stage, which will be to apply the first wash. Okay, so IG-88 or Iggy Pop has now dried, and the first wash we're going to apply to him is Agrax Earthshade, because he's a little bit rustier when you look at him in some pictures. Well, not so much rusty, but dirty. IG-88 seems to hang around a lot in junkyards. That's what I kind of remember him for anyway, when he used to play Shadows of the Empire. So I want a covering, if you can see that, a bit like that. Yeah, when I was playing as Dash Rendar and I was hiding away from him, I remember scrapping a scrapyard, no pun intended. So that's the first wash we're going to do on him. For now anyway. So that needs to fully dry before we move on to the next stage. And now that IG-88 is dry, we're going to do the next layer, which is going to be a dry brush of Ironbreaker. Use a big brush for this. I'm just going to use the base coat brush actually. But you can use a dry brush, or you can use just about any brush for this really. So we're just going to go over him, like so. Which will lighten him up considerably. Like so. So we need to wait for that to dry before we do anything else now. Now that IG-88 is dry, we're actually going to give him a second wash of Agrax, just to get some more definition on him. It's a pretty standard wash, doesn't need to be too thick, not too thin either. Straight across the model. And very quick as well. There we go. So that's where he is. Very similar to the last time you saw him, but slightly lighter, slightly grimier. And now we need to let that dry for the next stage. Okay, so the next stage is to give a very light runefang steel dry brush across the whole model, including the gun. So it's going to be quite a light dry brush. I don't want to go over too much of the previous colouring that's on there. I just want to highlight those robotics. We're just basically going along it. Giving it a very light dry brush. Like so. Okay, so that brings them out a little bit. So I'm just going to wait for that to fully dry, which shouldn't take too long because it's a dry brush, and then we're back with you in a second. Okay, so the next stage, we're going to take some Bad and Black. There it is. And what we're going to do, we're going to paint the stock parts of the gun, and we're also going to paint the belt around him in black. This is about the singular piece of detail that's on IG-88. Everything else is robotics. So I'm just going to use a fine brush and I'm just going to go over the belt. Like so. So we cover the whole thing. It's quite a fine little belt, this. So you're not going to want too much paint on there. Like so. And then the stock parts of the gun. Just so it stands out a little bit against that metal. I'll leave the barrel in metal. It's just like the casing parts. I'll do it all in black. Just so there's a bit of difference on it, otherwise the mold's going to look very boring. Like so. So now I need to wait for that to dry before I do the highlight on the black. So I shall do that. I shall be back with you once that's dry. Okay, so now the black's dry. What we're going to do is get Dawnstone. Now I'm going to get a small brush and we're just going to go around the edges of the black and just give it a little bit of a highlight. Just to bring that black out. It doesn't look just like matte black over the top. I'm going to use quite a small brush. The best one I've got is the Army Painter Wargamer Insane Detail brush at the moment. Until the new Games Workshop one comes out and I get my hands on it. I'm going to take the smallest amount of paint imaginable to man, and we're going to go along the edges of the gun. Like so. And here's the other side, and then we're going to do the same with the belt. We are just going to pick out those edges, like so. So worst case scenario, if it goes wrong, you can always wash this again later, which I might do anyway, depending on how much of this stuff I put on. Okay, so hopefully the camera's going to pick that up. But there's the Dawnstone on there, and on the gun, just to give it a little bit of definition against the metal. So we'll see what that's like when it dries, and we might do a wash or might just leave it. Okay, so the next stage on IG88, we are going to do the eyes. I'm going to do them in my Feast and Red. So he's got a lot of little parts around his head. And there's a lot of drawings of IG88 where he's got a lot of little lights on his head as well, but they don't seem to all be represented on the miniature compared to the drawings. I also believe his head is actually some sort of drink dispenser in real life. Because if you go back and look at the cantina scene from the first Star Wars, there's about 6 or something like that. Little things that are his head. But they're on gold and they're all above where the bartender's serving. They're all like IG88's head. It's a bit weird, I know, but if you watch Star Wars again, bear that in mind. So what it looks like on the model, there are some little bits. So I'm just going to pick them out in red and I'll show you. Which could be construed as sensors, eyes, whatever you want to call them, that a droid has. I'm just going to pick them out in red. Okay, like so. So if the camera focuses, all around his head are these little things. In addition, I'm also going to put a little Feast and Red on the front of his gun where it looks like there's a red dot sight, just to pick out the gun a bit more, just there. So I'm just going to wait for that to dry. Okay, so now I'm just going to take the, so where all the red parts are, I'm going to highlight them very slightly with Fire Dragon Bright. I'm going to need a small brush for this, smallest one you've got, because they're very small parts of detail. Just like the eyes, if that's what they are sensors. You're going to need the smallest amount of paint imaginable, and we're just going to highlight the edges of the end. Okay, so hopefully you can see that on there, just to give it a little bit of highlight. And that's pretty much all I'm going to do with that. If you've got a small enough brush, you might want to do white scar, little dots of white scar if you can manage it. But to be fair, they're very small detail and you're not really going to see it all the time. So the last thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to give Null Oil or a coat over that grey just to darken it down a little bit, and across the gun as well. That's the wrong one. Where are you, Null Oil? There we are, Null Oil. Just over the gun, the belt, including the barrel of the gun as well. I'm going to do that. I'm actually going to use a small brush as opposed to a wash brush because I want to control where I'm putting it. And then, in essence, he's done. We just need to do the base once this is dried. Yeah. So yeah, I'm happy with that now. There we go. So these are pretty simple model to paint. Although there are 4 versions of IG88 and we only ever see one in the movies. So maybe if you could, I mean they're all meant to be copies, but you can come up with some funky designs. You don't have to follow exactly what it looks like in the movies. You could do him in bronze, but he's very metallic. He's not really brave. You could rust him up using some Typhon Corruption. But the detail on these models and the fact Typhon Corruption's got a little bits of sand in, on these smaller models I wouldn't recommend it because it'll cover up quite a bit of the detail to do that. So you are changing the appearance of the model quite a bit. And because these are movie icons, if you will, I want to get them as close as possible to what they're meant to look like. So the next phase on this is to paint the base. Okay, so for IG88's base, what we're actually going to do is, because these come in a grey colour, which is the same as the Imperial faction. However, when you look at the backs of the cards, it's an entirely different card. So I suspect we'll be able to have a massive scum, mercenary, villain type faction going on with bounty hunters and scum. So I'm going to paint them as a different colour. Because the backs of the cards are green, I'm going to go with green. And I like this green. Castilian green. There it is. So much like the grey is kind of a natural grey colour, and for the rebels we're going to use a natural brown colour. For these guys we're going to use this, because it's kind of a natural green colour. So it won't stand out too badly. You could use darker greens if you wish. But it is a natural green, it's a very forest looking green, or jungle looking green. So on some of the board tiles and stuff where it's forest or jungle, it'll look pretty good. It doesn't scream at you that it's a completely different colour as well, but it is pretty good. So we're going to cover the base on the edges of the base, because there's no need to denote characters like this, because you can only have one of them at the moment, whether they're elite or not. Just going to go coverage of that. You might want to do 2 layers just to cover the black, but it's a nice base layer, so there you go. So it does a pretty good job of covering stuff. So now we just need to let that dry. Okay, so there is IG88. He's finished. He's very straightforward to paint, being all mainly one colour. So I hope you've enjoyed the video. It was pretty straightforward. I mean, if you've got any ideas to make them different, please use them. I hope it's given you some idea of how to paint them. If you've never painted a Necron or never painted metallics before, I hope that's helped. But as I say, it's pretty straightforward. There's no real tricks to painting IG88. Just the inks that you're using. You don't have to use Agrax, you can do it all in Nuln, and then it'll look a bit less dirty, or you can use it all in Nuln and it'll look even more dirty. So it's entirely up to yourself. But anyway, we've been Pantheon of the Geeks, and I hope you've enjoyed the video, and please like and subscribe if you haven't already. It helps loads if you do, and I hope you join me again for some more Let's Paints. Take care, bye.